Good morning, my dear students. Today we shall discuss fifth chapter of the history, that is colonialism and tribals. In the last chapter, we have seen that how, for administrating the village areas, Britishers implemented a lot of policies so that they can collect the revenue from the peasants. Now, in this chapter, we shall see that how, because of the implementation of the various policies of the British, the life of the tribal peoples, or who were also known as the Adivasis, period. Adivasi is made up of two words, Adi and Vasi. Adi means old, Vasi means people. My dear students, in today's scenario India also, there are many tribal communities who are living into the forest areas, deserts, or the mountain ranges, and in that area they are practicing their own system of the political, social, and economic structure. As we are knowing, with the evolution of the humans on the earth, slowly people came to know about the agriculture. As they came to know about the agriculture, they started to lead a settled life. Slowly development processes occurred. Villages people went to the cities, from their metropolis, then metropolitan. But still, there were few groups in the India who were living with the close association of forests, and their all demands were being fulfilled by the forest resources. Or in other words, we can say, for their livelihood, they were mostly dependent on the forest resources. There were their own system of the politics, social order, religion, as well as culture. So, in this chapter, we shall discuss more about the tribal peoples, and after that, we shall see that how, because of the coming of the white Europeans, their lifestyle totally suffered, and then they revolted against these peoples. So, Tribals is also known as the Adivasis. Adivasi means old people, means the people who are living in the India from the ancient time. Now, few points about the Adivasis. After that, first we shall discuss about the habitat. Next one will be the religion. Third one will be language, and fourth will be the occupation. So first, habitat. Adivasis are tribal peoples, are mostly live into the forest areas of the northeast. Beside that, areas of the central India, including the states of the Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, and Orissa. Still, some of the Adivasis can be found into the desert area also, and these people live in the close association of the nature. Now, religion. If we talk about the religion of the Adivasis, we can say that their religious beliefs were totally different from the Hinduism, Islam, and the Christianity. There were their own system of the practices and the worship, and that was totally different from others. If we talk about the deities to whom they worshipped, then they didn't worship any deity. Deity means idol or the statue of the god and goddesses. They mostly worship to the nature. In the nature, they worship to the rain, they worship to the fire, thunder, storms, rivers, etc. And why they worship these things? There was a belief, because these were the things which they got from their ancestors, and these are the things only by which their all demands are being fulfilled. So they were giving a great importance to these natural resources. Now, language. If we talk about the language of the Adivasis, then there was not any common language. But majority of the Adivasi population was speaking Santhali language. Santhali. That Santhali was similar to the Sanskrit. Besides that, other Adivasis who were living in the different areas, accordingly, they were speaking the different languages. Now, if we talk about the occupation, then the occupation of the Adivasis can be termed into the four categories. First one, hunter-gatherer. Yes, like the primitive people, like the old people. They were dependent for their food habits on the hunting of the wild animals, as well as gathering the fruits, berries and roots. Second one was the shifting cultivation. Yes, shifting cultivation is also known as the jhum cultivation. In the shifting cultivation, a patch of land is being cleared in the forest area, and that land is tilled with the simple plows, and as the rain shower occurs, seeds are being sown. Later on, they are being harvested. Same practice occur on the same piece of land for at least 3 or 4 years. After 3 or 4 years, people who are practicing the shifting cultivation, they migrate from that land and start to practice on the next land. Why they were doing this? Because they were not using any type of manure or fertilizer for the fertility of the soil. So after 3 or 4 years, the soil was losing its fertility, and as the fertility of the soil loosed, they migrate from one place to the another place. So some were practicing the shifting cultivation. Third one, herder. Yes. Now also you can see some peoples who are having a big herd of the sheep or the goat. So same thing happened, and camels also in some cases. Same thing happened in case of the Adivasis also. They were the herders. They were having the large number of the sheep, goat, camel, or if we talk about the mountainous region, yak. Why they keep these cattle or these animals? They reared these animals, as by these animals their demands like the meat, like the wool, like the milk was being fulfilled. And fourth one is the settled cultivation. Yes, some of the tribal communities have settled in the specific region. Then among from them, one individual is appointed as the chief of that tribals, and it was the responsibility of that chief to to administer all the systems of that individual tribal area with his own ministers. What rules and regulations should be made, what announcements should be made, that all were on the wish of the tribal chief. So this was something about the Adivasis. Now, our main topic, colonies. As we have seen in the previous chapter, with the arrival of the British in India, the peasants and the common people suffered a lot. Same thing happened with tribes also. As British captured the huge area of the land, then they turned towards the forest areas. Why they turned towards the forest areas? Because forests were having hard and valuable timber, means wood, which have a great demand in the European markets. Besides that, for the construction of the sleepers, yes, I will tell sleeper. For the construction of the sleepers also, there was the requirement of the hard wood sleepers. You have seen the track of the railway. Railway track is like this. In the middle of the railway tracks, wooden planks are being put. That wooden planks are put so that it holds the track tightly. These wooden planks are known as the sleepers. As we are knowing, as British came to India for the transportation of the heavy and bulky goods, they implemented railway. And for the construction of the railway lines, huge amount of sleepers were required. And to fulfill the demands of the sleepers, they started to cut the forest area recklessly. And as they started to cut the forest area recklessly, they directly came with the conflict of the Adivasis or the tribal peoples. Yet, Adivasis tried their level best to struggle with the Britishers, but Britishers were stronger than them, as well as they were having the advanced weapons like the rifles and guns. So these advanced weapons were not to be completed by the Adivasis, because Adivasis were fighting with their simple bow, arrow, spears. So as they move in the territories, a lot of clash occurred. Now, one more problem which increased the misery of the farmers, that was the forest law. In the year of 1884, Britishers implemented the forest law. According to that forest law, forests were divided into the three categories: reserved, protected, and village. Reserved forests were totally for the British use, and reserved forests were the areas where hard and valuable timber was available. Protected forests were also of the great importance for the Britishers. Village forests were the areas where some tribals were permitted by the Britishers to live in. And as I have already told you all, that for all their needs, tribals were totally dependent on the forest only. But because of this forest law, now their entry, including their cattle's entry, was totally prohibited in the reserved and the protected areas of the forest. And this made a frustration among the tribal peoples of the India. And as a result of this frustration, two revolts broke out within the India by tribes against the Britishers. One was the Santhal rebellion and another was the Munda rebellion. So, Santhal rebellion started in the year of 1855. This was started by four brothers: Sindhu, Kanu, Chand, and Bhairav. These four brothers first revolted against the Britishers. Later on, their two sisters also joined this rebellion. And as they started to fight battle with the Britishers with their simple tools and arrows, they massacred the maximum British officials as well as talukdars, or we can say to whom jamidars, are the middlemen. But in the reverse, Britishers took very hasty step to end up the revolts made by the Santhal people. As British forces retreated, more than 20,000 of the Santhalis were killed. And finally, the rebellion of the Santhals came to an end. But by the rebellion of the Santhals, British came to know that it is a requirement that some changes should be made in the forest law, so that people can also use that. Now one more thing, as forest law was beneficial for the British, but in some cases it was little bit disadvantageous for them. Why? When British stopped or banned the entry of the tribal peoples in the village areas and forced them to leave out the land, then after cutting the forest, there was the requirement of the labor who can cut the tree, who can transport the log from one place to the another place, and for this purpose there was the requirement of the labor. So to meet their demands of the laborers, Britishers allowed some tribals to live in the forest area, but there was contract that they will provide free labor to the British. Besides that, this was the rebellion of the Santhal. Now another rebellion which took place in the Chota Nagpur region, that was the Birsa Munda or Munda rebellion. Munda rebellion was started by the Birsa Munda in the Chota Nagpur region, and this rebellion is of great importance. Still, if you will visit to the area of the Chota Nagpur, you can see the statue of the Birsa Munda, who was the hero of this revolt. Finally, in the year of 1874, Birsa Munda was killed by the Britishers. 1874 he was killed, but then also the rebellion which was made under the leadership of the Birsa Munda just compelled the Britishers or forced the Britishers to rethink about their forest policies. So, as we have already discussed, that for the tribal peoples, forests were of the great importance. It was a sacred one for them. But by the implementation of the various forest laws, their entry banned, they were unable to take the resources, and on the other hand, British were cutting recklessly the forest resources. This made the people of the Chota Nagpur angry, and this misery was added by the middlemen of the Europe who came to the forest areas for the purchasing and selling of the forest goods, because till the 18th century there was a great demand of the forest goods in the European market. So maximum planters and middlemen came to India. They were purchasing the forest goods from the tribal people on a very cheap rate, and they were selling it into the Britain and other European countries on the higher prices, and they were earning huge amount of the profits. Secondly, the plantation owners, mostly at that time, coffee, tea, rubber, cocoa were the plantation plants, and these plantation crops were cultivated on the vast area of the land. And in the previous chapter, I have told you all that for the plantation work, there was the requirement of the large number of laborers. So they hired these tribal peoples also as a worker in the plantation, but their condition was too much miserable that this infuriated the tribal peoples. So people decided that they all will support the rebellion which is led by the Birsa Munda. Then messages started to being circulated, village headman started to talk in the village areas, and on the specific date the rebellion started. People destroyed and burnt the various offices of the Britishers as well as of the Jamidars. Maximum British officials and middlemen were killed, and in the retaliation or in the revenge, British forces came and they destroyed the whole areas. Yet maximum chiefs of the areas, they tried their level best to negotiate with the Britishers, but British didn't listen anything, and they massacred maximum innocent peoples. So these were the two revolts. Now further development. What was the further development or what was the result of that? As these tribal peoples revolted and only these two didn't revolt, means Munda and Santhal, only these two didn't revolt. Maximum other peoples of the North Hill, Garo, Khasi, maximum peoples of the North Hill who were living in the Garo, Khasi and Jaintia hills, they also revolted. Or in other words, we can say the people of all the areas from the tribal community, either on the large scale or on the smaller scale, they revolted against the British policy. And as the British saw that their revolt is just not beneficial for them, so they made some amendments in the forest laws so that tribal people can also get something from the forest, because now British came to know that if we want to capture the areas of the forest by killing the tribes, we can't do that. Negotiations are necessary. So this was all about the chapter. If any doubt or any other thing, please ask through the message. Till that time, bye bye my dear students.